Commander, we have arrived at Jump Station. Next deploy. Hello again, this is Jose back with you now with the story of the planet Northwind and its very famous mercenary unit known as the Northwind Highlanders, as well as Northwind is the home of the Northwind Military Academy. Geography. Northwind is composed of 3 continents: New Lanark, Canary, or Kiarni, I believe it's how it's pronounced, and Haladon. All 3 continents have roughly the same level of development. And please excuse my pronunciation. I am not of the Scottish heritage, so I struggle with the words sometimes that they are. I'm trying to call them as they are, as I see them. New Landmark is the largest landmass and the location of the capital city of Terra, as well as the Northwind Military Academy. Each of these locales is situated near the Tillman River. Terra, formerly Comarity City, is home for over 2 million inhabitants as of 3067. The castle, a Star League-era fort that serves as a command center for the Northwind Highlanders, is also located within Terra. The planet's capital architecture is inspired by pre-space Scotland, with cobblestone streets and bountiful taverns. Situated within the city is Peace Park, so dedicated by the First Lord of the Star League in 2657. Terra is serviced by Kohler Spaceport. Kiarni, the second largest continent, is home to the world's second most populous city of the same name. Haladon is the smallest continent of Northwind. It is home to the aerospace annex of the Northwind Military Academy. The planet's secondary spaceport services Halifax City, which can be found on Haladon. The early history of Northwind goes as follows. Northwind was purchased by Clan Stuart during the Exodus and named for the clan's old home in Scotland. The Stuarts were joined by the Highlanders, the last vestiges of Scotland's independent military. To prove their worth, the Highlanders founded Kiarni, a mining town. Having become independent as a result of the demarcation declaration, Northwind was subsequently added to the resurgent Terran hegemony. Boy, I'm going to have problems with some of these words. While some worlds joined the hegemony during its early years as a result of diplomatic and trade incentives, many more were conquered in campaigns of persuasion launched by Director General James McKenna, the first of which began in 2316 and ended with the capture of town in 2317. Northwind was one of the worlds added to the hegemony during or around the time of this first military campaign. In 2362, Northwind's clan elders, who ruled the planet Northwind, elected to raise a standing army, the Northwind Highlanders. The Highlanders became an elite mercenary unit. Because of this, many aspiring mercenaries traveled to Northwind to learn the trade, and employers frequent the planet to hire the Highlanders, creating an informal hiring hall. As of course, this planet was also affected by Stephen Amaris, the Amaris Civil War. Amaris forces attacked Northwind during the Amaris coup, but the Republican forces on planet were only partially successful, as Northwind was staunchly pro-Cameron world. They were met with derision and hostility by the locals. However, in their initial attack, the Republicans were more successful than in New Dallas. They crippled the 3 Highlander regiments the first day, driving the survivors into hiding. A week later, Northwind was effectively under Amaris' thumb, but not completely. The Highlanders quickly formed resistance groups, forming the most united planetary resistance within the hegemony. Despite the fact Amaris moved more and more forces onto the planet to beat its resistance, he never succeeded. The population of the world continued to resist, and with the help of the secret fleet, the resistance was always well manned and supplied. In 2775, the SLDF finally arrived to liberate the planet. As soon as the Third Army arrived on system, the converters, the Northwind resistance movement, struck hard against America's forces and government with every man they could muster. The AEAF was embattled and unable to counterattack due to the landing of the SLDF. America's forces were unable to retreat to the planet's Castle Bryan when were surpassed in numbers. After the first day, America's garrison launched nuclear attacks against the LX-1X Corps, I forgot my Roman numerals, and some of the largest cities on planet before losing access to their strategic reserves. Later they used civilians to shield their movements, enraging the population even more. By the end of June, America's forces were broken, but at a high cost. The converters ceased to be an effective force. The only remaining America's forces were entrenched inside the planet's Castle Bryan, but the Corps began the Starling Defense Forces Corps that was there began a campaign to clear it, finishing that labor by New Year. I'm now going to talk in brief about the 4 succession wars, and I'm going to stop it there, since most of us don't go past that. And with Northwind, at this point, we normally stop just before the clan invasion. Succession wars. After the fall of the first of the Star League, Northwind was fought over by successor states. The Highlander regiments became a mercenary unit in service of the Capellan Confederation, though some regiments were able to continue to garrison Northwind. That was the briefest of all of the succession wars I have for you. Northwind was conquered by the Federated Sons during the Second Succession War. In 2481, House Davion sent an invasion force that overwhelmed the defending Stuart Highlanders and the 3rd Kearney Highlanders. The Highlander regiments fought to the last, but it was not enough. The Fourth Succession War. Although coordinator Takashi Kurita had focused his attention on Wolf's Dragoons in the early stages of the Fourth Succession War, the pleas for resistance from Chancellor Maximilian Lau prompted him to plan 2 targeted offensives against the Federated Sons. One of these was strike against Northwind, a world that DCMS believed it could use as a springboard for future attacks against other worlds in the region near Terra in an effort to isolate the Federated Sons and Lyrian Commonwealth from each other. Assigned to this offensive were the 5th Sword of Light, the 36 Deering Regulars, and the Janishua. Defending Northwind at the time was the 5th Deneb Light Cavalry Regimental Combat Team and 2 mercenary units, Bradley's Bravos, a part of the Kellhounds, and Team Banzai. The DCMS landings concentrated around the region around the Carrigan Mountains on New Landmark, landing close to the city of Comrie, which was the largest city on New Landmark and the home of the Northwind AFF's garrison. The garrison initially managed to fight the DCMS forces to a standstill, highlighted by the balance of control of Northwind battle. Northwind will be a long, hard fight. After the initial battles, DCMS forces poisoned reservoir supplying Comrie in a strategy believed to have been devised by General Palmer Conti, the commanding officer of the 5th Sword of Light, those dastardly Sword of Lights. Within a day of the reservoir being poisoned, people of Comrie were being hit by PTO poisoning, that type of poison. And while vaccinations and treatment saved some, the city was soon overwhelmed by the number of sick and dying. Wow, kind of sounds like what we're going through in the world today. With half of the 5th Deneb Light Cavalry infected, by the time the defenders determined that the reservoir was the source and shut off the water supply, 5,000 people were dead, and the pressure on the city was intense, with bodies being burned in building furnaces, and the 36 Deering Regulars used the opportunity to launch an attack. While half of the 5th Deneb Light Cavalry had been incapacitated, the other half were still fit for duty, along with both mercenary commands, due to their water being drawn from a well rather than the city supply. The defenders managed to rebuff the attack, but the senior active officer from the 5th Major Collins, was lured into pursuing the 36 as they retreated and led his forces into an ambush in which the 5th Sword of Light overran the light cavalry and scattering the surviving warriors. Dr. Banzai led Team Banzai in an attempt to save the light cavalry, only to be blocked by the Janushua, who inflicted heavy damage on the mercenaries and incapacitated Dr. Banzai himself as he attempted to fight 3 assault mechs by himself. Brave man. The surviving elements of Team Banzai withdrew into the Rock Spires region of the Cairngorm Mountains. Boy, I'm still struggling with those words. With all of the surviving members of Bradley's Bravos and the light cavalry they could find, preparing to fight a last stand. The defending forces didn't know that negotiations had begun in secret between First Prince Hanstavius and the 4 regiments of the Northwind Highlanders, using General Arden Stock and Clan Stuart elders as proxies. Prince Davian convinced the Northwind Highlanders to leave the service of the compelling Confederation in exchange for garrisoning Northwind and certain other concessions. The Northwind Agreement was signed in December of 3028, and the Highlanders abandoned their positions along the Capellan Sons border and returned to their ancestral homeworld. They arrived on 12 January of 3029 and immediately began engaging the DCMS forces on planet, forcing them to retreat and saving the survivors of the AFFS garrison. The presidents of 4 regiments of experienced Highlander regiments on Northwind, all keen to prove their value to their new liege, effectively blocked the DCMS campaigns in the Terran region stillborn. That's what I have for you for now. Operation Guerrera, the Jihad, and everything else I'll come up with on a second video for you guys later on down the road. That'll be my part 2. I hope you enjoy this. I have a hard time with non-true English words, as you can tell with this particular as you can tell from what I've read today, but it's one of those things where hopefully I will improve on as I continue to do these, and I hope you all have a good day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. I thank you much for your time. Guys, have a good day.